The forbidden path has a name, meaning migration. Here's what it would have looked like in my case. I leave the bonfire thread open, unresolved, undecided. 90 days pass. No literal bonfire appears. Nothing burns, nothing is lit, nothing in the world matches what I wrote down. And at that point, I say, well, of course it was symbolic. It was about the small fire of attention I'd been tending all along. It was never meant literally. Now, that reinterpretation might even be beautiful. It might be moving. It might feel in the moment like a deeper understanding arriving at last. And it is worthless. It is worse than worthless. And here is the exact reason why. If the bonfire had quietly become symbolic 3 months on, after nothing literal appeared, that would corrupt not just one entry, but the trust the entire log depends on. Read that again and notice the scope of the damage. Not one entry, the whole log. Because once a single meaning has been permitted to migrate after the outcome was known, every other entry in the notebook becomes suspect. Not just the bad ones, all of them. You can no longer distinguish the entries you got right from the entries you retroactively made right, because you now know that you are a person who does that. Every hit is contaminated by the possibility that it was manufactured the same way, and you have no method of telling them apart because the method was the thing you just broke. One migration poisons the corpus. So, a registration voided honestly, same day in ink, is clean data. A registration reinterpreted after the fact is not data at all. Not weaker data, not data with a caveat, not data. So here is the rule, and it is simple to state and hard to keep. A thread is either open and scoreable or voided and dated. It is never simply left. You are allowed to change your mind. I want to be very clear about that because I do not want you to hear today as an instruction to be rigid. I changed my mind about the bonfire within a single day, and the method permitted it, and the log is clean. You may change your mind today in writing where it can be seen. The void decision is a legitimate move. It is dated, it is auditable, and it costs you the entry, which is exactly the price that makes it honest. What you may never do is decide later once you know. That is the entire boundary, and everything else follows from it. The question is never whether you are permitted to revise. The question is whether you revise before or after the world has told you the answer. Revision before is a judgment. Revision after is a rescue. And here is how you'll recognize the temptation when it arrives, because it does not announce itself as dishonesty. It will arrive as insight. It will feel like understanding something more deeply. It will feel like exactly the kind of growth you've been hoping this practice would produce. Ask yourself one question in that moment. Would I be having this insight if the outcome had gone the other way? If the answer is no, if this deeper understanding is available to you only because the literal reading failed, then it's not an insight, it's an escape, and you were about to take it sincerely. Your drill today, it has 5 moves, and the 5th one is housekeeping that will take you longer than you expect. 1, run your session and close it as always. Then review your map from 3 days back, that is day 9. 2, name the strongest pattern you currently believe in. Write it down plainly in 1 sentence without hedging. Not, there might be something around the lower left. Say it properly. My voids consistently fall in the lower right. If you cannot state it plainly, you do not have a pattern. You have a mood, and a mood cannot be tested. 3, now argue against it. Genuinely. What is the boring cause? Remember yesterday? The chair, the lighting, the dealing hand. What would an intelligent skeptic say if they were handed your notebook and asked to find the flaw? Write their argument down. Make it as strong as you can. If your counter argument is feeble, you have not tried. You have staged a debate you intended to win. 4. Write the test, a specific observation in a named window that would kill the pattern. If my next 3 sessions show no void in the lower right, this is dead. Date it, commit to it. 5. And then audit your open threads. Go back through your log and look for anything you have left vague. Any registration that is currently sitting in that comfortable middle state where it could still resolve either way. You will find some. Everyone does. For each one, keep it open as registered or void it today in writing, dated, not both, never both. That 5th step is the one you will be tempted to skip because it is unglamorous and it costs you entries. Do it anyway. You are cleaning the corpus before you build the second half of this course on top of it. Let me tell you honestly what today will cost, because I would rather you were braced for it than blindsided. You will lose findings. Some of the patterns you were quietly pleased about will not survive the argument. You will apply an honest test, and the pattern will simply fail, and you will have to write that down. Your log will get thinner today, less impressive. There will be fewer things in it that you'd be excited to show someone. And that is the purchase, because everything left standing after today is load-bearing. Every pattern that survived a real, motivated, competent attempt to destroy it is now something you can build on. And you will know exactly how much weight it can take because you know what it withstood. Think about what you will have on day 30 under each scenario. If you protect your findings, a thick, satisfying notebook full of patterns and no way on earth to know which of them are real, not one, you will have built something that looks like knowledge and functions like a mirror. If you prosecute them, a thinner notebook containing fewer claims, every one of which has been shot at and did not fall. I know which of those 2 I would want in my hands if it mattered. If I were sitting across from someone whose life had come apart, and I were about to say something to them about what I saw on the table, I would want to be reading from the second notebook. A small number of things you cannot kill is worth infinitely more than a large number of things you never tried to. That is day 12. A finding is not something you noticed. It is something that survived. So go and try to kill the thing you most want to be true. Name it plainly. Argue against it with real force. Write the test that could defeat it in a named window before you know. And go back through your log and clean up every thread you left conveniently vague, open and scoreable, or voided and dated, never simply left. Meaning migration is the one unforgivable move in this practice, and it does not arrive looking like cheating. It always arrives looking like wisdom. The tell is always the same. Would I be having this insight if the outcome had gone the other way? Now try to kill it. If it lives, it's yours. You're not asked to believe. You're asked to record. And now to test what you have recorded without mercy while it is still cheap to find out you were wrong. Tomorrow, the other half of this. Because if you do today's work properly, something is going to fail. A thread will die. A pattern you were fond of will not hold. Tomorrow is about what happens in the hour after that. The first honest miss, and what a practitioner actually does when it lands. It is one of the most important days in this course, and almost nobody teaches it. I'm Dr. Rivka Edery, author of Spatial, Psy.D, and I am looking forward to seeing you tomorrow on day 13. Thank you.